Greetings from America or the States. My name is Don Lewis. When I write and illustrate children's books, I use the name D. Bagley Lewis to distinguish myself from a few other hundred Don Lewises there are in the world. But hopefully there's only one D. Bagley Lewis, and that's me. I wanted to share two books that I have been able to get published. One's called The Wacky Word Wizard Whacks the Dappy Huck. And the second book, incidentally, I both wrote and illustrated this book. This book is called Can I Have a Monkey by Betty Peacock, and she wrote the words and I did the illustrations. I've been asked to share some ideas about the creative writing process that I go through in order to write and illustrate children's books. And mostly I'm going to concentrate on writing as opposed to illustration. And I've got about 6 steps to cover. First step, maybe the most important step, is to believe that you can write. Creativity in writing for me begins with a strong belief that you really can be an author. If you somehow think that you can't write, you're probably going to be absolutely correct. Actually all successful writers always believed that they could write and could be an author, and they believed in it enough to go to work and begin to write and be successful. Step 2 is to create the right environment and the right place to write. It's really important that you find and create that place where you can be successful in being creative. And it probably should be the same place each time. And try to control that environment. Now, it doesn't have to be totally quiet. It's going to be different for everybody. Some may want it to be very quiet. Some may want a little bit of music in the background, or even some people go to even libraries to write with a little bit of noise in the background, which is helpful. But for you need to find that perfect place to write that you can be creative. Step 3 is to find your inspiration. Most writers write about something that they really feel strongly about or can connect with. That's actually maybe part of them, maybe part of their life experience. For instance, I'm currently working on a new children's book about a little boy who's afraid of the dark. That after his mom kisses him goodnight and says goodnight, turns out the lights, that he's afraid. And as you might guess, that was me when I was little. So that comes from a place that I know a lot about. Part of finding your inspiration is to do research. That is to read as many books as possible. Try to find a favorite author and study how they write. Learn from them. But I will give you a caution. Be careful not to copy or use other authors' concepts or words. That's called plagiarism, so it needs to be original. Step 4 is to get it down fast. Many writers, beginning writers, once they have decided what they're going to write about, struggle with getting just the right words. The best advice for me is to just start writing and get it down as quickly as possible, even if it sounds awful to you at first. When I start to do a children's book, I try to imagine myself in a room full of kids or having a few kids right next to me. And then I'm just going to tell them a story. And I don't get all bogged down with just the perfect word or phrase. I just start to tell them the story. I start to write. And that's what you have to do, whether it's on computer or whether you're writing by longhand or just writing on paper with a pen or pencil. But I just suggest getting it down as quickly as you can without worrying about the details of did I get it just right? Because that's going to come in the next step, which step 5 is to edit and revise. And this is the step that is the real work. You've been creative, and now you have to actually make it right. And you're probably not going to be right the first time, and so you're going to have to start working on making sure every sentence is right. Is it grammatically correct? Is it correct spelling? Is the punctuation correct? You need to look at everything, cut, revise, refine. Don't overdo it, and realize that at some point you're going to have to decide I'm at the end, because sometimes you can go on and on. This can take a long time. The next step actually, just let me mention that when I look at writing, I call it like running a marathon. Very few times do authors just sit down in one evening and write a children's book. But just like in running a marathon, you need to get in shape. And in writing, you need to start writing, and write if you can every day. And then just like you were working out or working for a marathon, it's even good to find the right time or the same time every day and write. But as you write, just like in preparing, you're going to get better, you're going to get stronger. And as far as creativity goes, I've heard it explained that creativity is kind of like chasing a butterfly. You can try your best to capture it, but sometimes after you've worked really, really hard to come up with just the right paragraph or sentence or page, sometimes the best thing to do is to just, again, get it down, but don't worry about it so much. If it's not coming, don't fight it, and just relax. You maybe go watch a TV program, go for a walk, go do something. And sometimes later on, the creativity process, like a butterfly landing on your shoulder, will come to you, and suddenly you'll have the right solution to that problem that you couldn't quite figure out. The last step that I'm going to mention is called let it simmer. And that means when you finally get all done, it's really good to just leave it for a few days and just let it simmer in your mind. And then after a few days, get back to it. You read it over. Try to read it over as though you're reading it for the first time with what I call new eyes. Be willing to make big changes. Sometimes you may have had a paragraph or a page or a sentence that you thought was just amazing, but at this point, as you look at it again with new eyes, you may realize that it's not right, it's not working. You have to have the courage to just let it go and delete it, and maybe put something else in its place. So that's the summary of the steps. I just want to give you a final advice, and that is that, again, I think the most important step that you can face is that you believe in yourself enough to really write. That you, once you've made that decision that you can be an author, that you can write, then it will cause you to believe in yourself enough that you're willing to go to work and work hard to make sure it comes out right. So I'm D. Bagley Lewis, and thanks for being able to share this with you.